So today I'm sharing about red flags. I wrote this at a time where it was difficult for me to identify a red flag as something that just gets my attention in the wrong way. I don't like or love him or his energy. Even though I feel unworthy and unsexy, I was so desperate for a companion. I chose someone with nothing to offer me and who couldn't love or like me. Someone who says he doesn't give any apologies, he never reflects on himself, doesn't touch me with tenderness and love. Used my phone to call someone and go meet her and get a beverage. She texted that I rescued him from the snow. Has no home. Didn't borrow clean clothes and wore dirty clothes into my bed. Screamed at me in public twice. Told someone he came to my house to wash himself. Told me I talk too much. I felt like I wasn't treated like I was once a baby. Like I was just like an object. Like I wasn't a human who grew up. He was like objectifying my body, like touching nipples and using his hand for sexual activity rather than just like being gentle. Told me I have to wash my hands to touch his face as if my hands weren't clean. Didn't clean by the shower or sink after I used it. So many unconscious expectations and talks down to me, condescending, insults me if I don't want to be taught what he figured out. Tells me I have problems and issues, a blown fuse whenever he gets mad at me for something, doesn't have friends or hobbies, doesn't help or clean, he's lazy and entitled, doesn't have ambitions or dreams, constantly shaming me sexually, withholds affection, doesn't laugh or cuddle me, thinks he's God, yet has to smoke morning to night weed. Words and actions don't match when he says he desires me and loves me but doesn't try to show it. Controlling and micromanaging. I get no space or time alone or with other people. And it made me dig deep into myself at that time. It was a very difficult time. And I'm not fully disentangled from this person, but obviously I have much more clarity and I don't ignore red flags. So instead of focusing on the person, I went in deep and I thought, let me send my wellsprings out into the world from deep inside of myself, overflowing even into a desert. In Hebrew, we say emanating, radiating, wisdom, love, joy, knowledge. The Mashiach will come when it reaches everywhere. The Baal Shem Tov was the founder of Hasidus, and he said that he met Mashiach's soul, and Mashiach said, when these teachings flow out into the entire world, transmuting and embracing, after we embrace our destructive nature, we transmute it. For example, rage. How silent and alone time are required for playfulness. In Chassidus, we call it hispodidus or hispondinus. Telling the needs and boundaries we have, being honest. Cleaning the environment guarantees future relief. Knowing what feels empty, hungry, or escaping feels like everyone's my brother and sister. And understanding people have weird ways about money. Believing in my dreams that they can happen. Able to converge, which is the feminine, and diverge, which is masculine. Letting time and tolerance and pause be okay. Capable of both passive and active boundaries. Being in dynamism with time, for example, consonant, resonant, or dissonant with time. Not for people-pleasing. Fraud, problem-solving, crooking by manipulation. Normalizing and accepting nativity processes. Being emotionally available to receive. Honoring my life like mother. Honoring my light like father. Trusting it's all good even if I'm afraid, and my death is not in my control, just my life. Supporting people to feel their own pain that they can and that it will pass, and I can sense their buried courage. Recognizing I have to feel like I did the work to receive, or I won't trust it will stay, and I might sabotage. Trusting, that I don't have to harp on trusting life, like I don't have to harp on the boredom or the loneliness. Discipline is a spiritual food. It sustains me. I can use the energy of temptation to elevate my will and hold me, to practice satisfaction, to surrender my soul to love. I have to get something, 1 second. And in terms of the next couple of videos, I want to share on the prophecies about Mashiach. And Additionally, my uncle wrote a book and I want to share from that. But before I do that, I'll share from the tactics from the person who was really making me struggle with, his name was Michael, and he's still involved in my life, but that was making me struggle. So he would scream message at random times or say, I don't want an apology, covering up shock with negative projections and trying to force the person to absorb the consequences of his actions, bringing up past sins, saying private things publicly, screaming obscenities and derogatory statements, refusing to go for a walk to give me space for a couple hours in my own apartment, reminding someone of their low beginnings and mistakes, accusing the other of what he's doing, like being disrespectful, talking too much. I felt hoarse from having to argue about every little thing I notify him in the house, constantly moving around, distracting, provoking, challenging, being disagreeable, micromanaging, proving, competing, coming in with one kind of accommodating, humble energy, then having an aggressive, rude, entitled, unappreciative energy. Self-sabotage, then blaming me for things not going well because he lacks the foresight and reasonability. Guilting me to fear abandoning him because of my past self treated like a burden. And in terms of synapses, like, so here we have two. We have me, we have him. So 2 lines or 2 lions, like 11. Like my self-consciousness showed me I can take, and then excitatory, inhibitory, neuronal impulse, on, off. It's a daisy chain of masterminding. Like God would want above, below, and peer to peer, and like appear levels. So appearing to our peers, and something like an actual cat, like versus Shayna, Michael, unicorn, unique, unique, unicorn, kind, like seeing in the words lots of different things, and how in my self-consciousness, like taking everyone's sounds and sins and shame and hate along with its gold sometimes. So the nervous system is instinctive and is both in the future, the past, and knows the outcomes and the incomings all along. And it genuinely wants us all to be breathing deeply, relaxing. It'll do almost anything to achieve that, which means it requires training to handle anything that quickens the breath or causes arousal. It wants to reassure us. It is assurance as a form of electricity, light, albeit a highway, like chaotic vibration, because they're not grounded means reassurance when it hits something else and returns, versus when grounded it comes through us, we're in the charge, and just assurance, then presence itself is assurance, which is what is blessing, even a comfort. And now I'll share some Torah interpretation. So in Isaiah 34:16 it says, seek out the book of the Lord and read, none shall want her mate, for my speech is commanded, and his spirit has gathered them. In terms of looking for the mate, Isaiah 30, chapter 30, verse 7 says, for the Egyptians help in vain and without purpose, thus I call them boasters and sitting still. Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Hagiladi, has many names. He's like, and the place where he's from, and then his strength. So this is some stuff from his time. In the book of Kings, so it says in Melachim 2:15-14, and Menachem son of Gadi went up and smote and ruled in his stead. And Melachim 2:23-7, or Kings 2, and he pulled down the houses of the male prostitutes, perverters, sodomites, Kadeshim. And Melachim 2, Kings 23, verse 13, and the high places that were before Yerushalayim, which were in the right hand of the mount of corruption, which Shlomo the king of Israel had built, for Ashterot, the abomination of the Zidonim, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moab, for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon, and did the king defile. Isaiah 27:1. On that day the Lord with a sore and regret and strong sword, and great and strong, not regret, sorry, and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the flying serpent, and Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the crocodile that is in the sea, Leviathan Nachash Berea, or Akalusion, which is the Tanin, it's called. Isaiah 28:15, because you've said, we have made a covenant with death, and Sheol are we at agreement when the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come us for us, for we have made lies our refuse, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. And then in verse 16 it says, therefore thus say the Lord God, behold, I lay in Sion a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believes shall not make haste. And so when we think of like Mordechai and Esther, and they're from the tribe of Benjamin, so we have here kings, prophets, and now from the tribe of Benjamin we have leaders. Mordechai sacrificed his niece, who was his wife, it's hard to say exactly who she was, to Achashverosh out of love for the sake of all the Jewish people. He told her, maybe it is for this reason that you were born, for this moment. And seeing how, now, when we see, I can see how you look inside and outside, right? Through my eyes, observable appearance, and are looking present, past, and future, and will look. So I can see how you look. I can see how you are looking through my eyes. I can see how you look like from the outside. And then even when we say hasten, like bimhera, like it should happen right away. But bima is like a high place. So heira. So it's like God wasn't happy that they were sacrificing in the high places rather than actually going to the temple. But spiritually, it seems like the karma I was taught was that I get what I'm given. And according to Chabad Chassidus, Kabbalah, and other Jewish traditions, actually reincarnationally or soulfully, everything is happening for the best outcome, even if it appears painful. Yichud is a high price for peace, while Echad is a much higher price. It's loneliness. Yichud requires compromise. And I want nobody because I'm nobody. So Isaiah 5:14, therefore Shel has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glass I think it says in their glass. I can check now, 1 second. Oops. Hold on. Yeah, so Isaiah 5:14, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that is joyful shall go down to the man, shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be brought low. He that is joyful shall go down into it. And Isaiah 6:2, the seraphim said above him, each one had 6 wings. They stood above him. Each one had 6 wings, and with 2 covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he did fly. Isaiah 30, verse 26, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days on the day that the Lord binds up the breach of his people and heals the stroke of their wound. So I realized, like, in terms of my pelvis, like the wounds, right? So here I spoke about Elijah. Elijah is the one who's supposed to be able to meet us in the lowest places, in the wound. And these are the prophets. The prophets were with the people. Okay, so these are Torah interpreters, but like on the level of prophecy. So in terms of being called a nation of prophets or the children of prophets, I want to share. So my pelvis was telling me about my safety. My stomach tells me about control. My solar plexus tells me about my power and rebelliousness, my will. My heart tells me about connecting to the ones I love, and my throat tells me that my jaw wants to be used for opening for good alone, in or out, incoming or outgoing. My da'as, or my knowledge, tells me to think bigger or smaller, and my mid-eyes tell me to look with less attachment and listen with less attachment. My crown tells me I'm supposed to focus on good, and if the alta major is included, which is like above the crown even, then it tells me that I am good, all is good. And I'll stop here and wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.